And so when this branch first formed in Sri Lanka, it was divided into three smaller groups, and I have those listed there, right here. And I'm going to try to pronounce these. The Mahaviharika, Abhayagarika, and the Jeta Vinaya. Try my best. But after a couple years, it eventually spread outside of Sri Lanka into the locations I mentioned earlier: Thailand, Laos, Burma, Cambodia. These three groups kind of like dissipated as the religion became more spread out. Okay, so that was the brief overview of the history. Some main principles of Theravada Buddhism. They emphasize self-discipline and the significance of pure deed and thought. Self-discipline is an act of overcoming our weaknesses. It is doing what is right despite our temptations not to. It's very difficult in practice. This is fundamental on conquering the self, which is a main concept of Theravada Buddhism as well. So in conquering yourself, you're able to, or it helps you to know the everlasting bliss and contentment that resides within the state of nirvana. So it brings you closer to nirvana. It involves the liberation from individual attachment and desires. So when we let go of our distractions, such as your desires and your emotions, you're able to see the world more accurately, and you act with clarity. And that's a big thing in Buddhism overall, is being in the present moment. Our minds are not always here with us. Sometimes it's in the past, it's in the future, and you're not really perceiving your reality as it really is. So by letting go of all of our emotional pains and attachments, we can see the world as it is. And when we are liberated from these things, we bind ourselves to temperance and inner peace, which again facilitates clarity. Self-discipline also induces pure thought and action. So how does this relate to family relationships? Individual sacrifices require self-discipline, and a lot of times in a family, you will have to sacrifice a lot of your time. Family needs will call for a lot of time, effort, and mental energy. Being a successful parent, a successful brother, sister, and child involves active self-discipline. So, for example, parents must exercise self-control when they are upset at their children. Siblings, when they fight, have to overcome their initial impulses to lash out at each other. And children must enable self-discipline and do what is right rather than do what they are tempted to. Secondly, pure thought and good deeds are pivotal concepts within a functional family. So parents have to harness good intentions when raising their children. They should seek to produce productive members of society, and this includes acting out of goodwill and with honest intent. These are key characteristics that build a productive member of society. Volunteering is an example of a pure deed. You are acting for the benefit of others. Likewise, when a family member acts for the overall concern of the people in their family, they are executing a pure deed towards others as well. Okay. The next and last branch is the Vajrayana sect. Some brief history. It is mainly practiced in India and the neighboring regions. It emphasizes on individual thought and mental state in your mental health, which I really admire. I'm a psychology major, so this really resonated with me. Many artistic recreations of this sect are meant to represent the universe as an aid for meditation. And meditation is a very big practice in this branch of Buddhism because meditating kind of helps you become more mindful and increases the health of your mind. It's good for your mental health, essentially. It's a form of Tantric Buddhism. Some other examples of Tantric religions include Hinduism, Jainism, and Taoism. It focuses specifically on how Buddhism affects individual life, and it capitalizes on the importance of the human mind. And it states that the human mind is composed of the indestructible and the valuable. Again, the significance of the mind is stressed. In fact, this sect is sometimes referred to as the Mantrayana, which means I think it's the vehicle of the mantra, basically emphasizing that your mind dictates the quality of your life. Some main principles of this branch is that the only way to achieve perfect enlightenment is through attaining a perfect mind. So the Buddha is a mirror to our own mind. And the main principle of this branch is that the mind and the idea that always creates a human stems from the condition of the mind itself. So everything that you are, everything in your life comes from in here. A core practice is to visualize oneself as the meditating Buddha. Sadhana is an individual's personal and spiritual effort. And this is channeled through meditation, which can include visualizing yourself as the meditating Buddha. And basically, when you're practicing sadhana, you are attempting to evoke a divinity and absorb it into yourself. By crafting the perfect mental state through meditation, you will be able to find the path towards enlightenment. So how does this relate to the relationship with the inner self? Well, much of today's problems, as I was researching, I found that a lot of young people are dissatisfied and contempt and not happy with themselves. The inner dialogue of such thought processes, negative thought processes, are unkind, criticizing, and destructive towards productivity. And according to social research in psychology, the modern world is irrational, and most people act contrary to their human needs and stated wishes. People are too distracted by material things, external motivations. They care too much about what others think, and they allow their inner world to collapse because they're so focused on the outer world. And this is detrimental to your health, your mental health. By adopting the Vajrayana exercise of meditation and prioritizing the cultivation of perfect mental health, so by emphasizing the importance of your mind and realizing that all that your life is comes from how you perceive the world and how healthy your mind is, you move towards creating a perfect mind or the perfect mind. And people can adjust their inner voices to become more kind, forgiving, and productive. So in conclusion, a lot of contemporary life can be adapted to Buddhism and Buddhist values. Buddhist thought permeates nearly all the realms of social life, and it can greatly improve the quality of life for many people. So whether it's an interaction with a friend, a family member, or just with yourself and your inner dialogue, Buddhist values have something to offer all kinds of social relationships. To go over everything again very briefly, your social perception is a key factor, and Buddhist values teach you to live in the present moment, to see things as they are, so that you are perceiving the world through an undistorted lens. It teaches you to see the world as it is, which is much more difficult in practice than it is to say. So to end it, let me go back real quick. All these concepts that I mentioned in the beginning that I went over throughout the slide kind of represents the visual display of how all of these go into society, meeting with enlightenment, sunyata, awakening, honesty, all in one collective bubble, which is my way of saying that all of it is connected. Okay, and that's it for my presentation on Buddhism and personal relationships. I have the works cited here. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something and that you enjoyed it.